I'll be home by 7, I said into my phone. Victoria answered without warmth. Don't be late. The reservation cost more than most people make in a month. I wouldn't miss our anniversary. Good. The call ended before I could say anything else. I stared at the dark screen and forced a smile. That was normal. My wife had built one of the biggest companies in New York. Every minute mattered to Victoria. I had spent years telling myself that love sometimes sounded cold when success became a full-time job. I believed that lie because it hurt less than asking difficult questions. I reached the restaurant exactly at 7. Victoria looked stunning in a black dress that probably cost more than my old car. You made it, Victoria said. I always do. Victoria gave a small nod. The waiter smiled. Happy anniversary. Thank you, I replied. Victoria barely looked up from the menu. The silence between us felt heavier than the crystal glasses. I tried first. Remember our first apartment? Victoria sighed. It was tiny. It was home. The roof leaked, Victoria said. We laughed every time it rained. We were poor. We were happy. Victoria looked at me for a long moment. You still think happiness is enough? I do. I don't. The waiter arrived with wine. Victoria raised the glass. To success. I touched my glass against Victoria's. To us. Victoria drank without smiling. I watched the city lights outside the window. 5 years earlier, I had left my software career because Victoria needed someone to handle life outside the office. Friends called me crazy. My family warned me. I ignored everyone. I believed marriage meant sacrifice. I managed our home. I canceled business meetings. I turned down promotions. I missed opportunities. Every choice felt worth it because Victoria's dream became our dream. At least that was what I believed. Victoria set the glass down. I need to ask something important. You sound serious. I am. What happened? Nothing happened today. The answer confused me. What do you mean? I've been planning this conversation for months. My stomach tightened. You're making me nervous. Don't interrupt until I finish. Okay. Victoria folded both hands together. I want you to become someone's legal guardian. I blinked. I'm sorry. A little girl needs stability. What little girl? Lily Brooks. I don't know Lily Brooks. You will. I laughed because the request sounded impossible. You must be joking. I'm not. Why would I become guardian to a stranger? Because Lily Brooks deserves a father. The words hung in the air. I still don't understand. You don't have to understand immediately. I think I do. Victoria looked straight into my eyes. Lily Brooks is 6 years old. Okay. Lily Brooks needs someone patient. There are agencies for that. I don't want strangers raising Lily Brooks. What does that have to do with us? Everything. My heartbeat became louder. Victoria, listen. I'm listening. Victoria inhaled slowly. Lily Brooks is Ryan Bennett's daughter. I frowned. Our investor Ryan Bennett. Yes. What does Ryan Bennett's daughter have to do with me? Victoria closed Victoria's eyes for 1 second. Then the next sentence destroyed my life. Lily Brooks is my daughter too. The restaurant disappeared. The music disappeared. The voices disappeared. Only Victoria's words remained. I whispered, what? I had an affair. I couldn't breathe. No. Yes. No. It lasted several years. I stared across the table. You and Ryan? Yes. I waited for Victoria to laugh. Victoria didn't. This isn't funny. I know. Tell me you're lying. I'm telling the truth. I gripped the edge of the table. When? During the 2nd year of our marriage. For years. Yes. I trusted you. I know. I defended you. I know. I gave up everything. I know. Anger burned inside me. So every late meeting. Not every meeting. But many. Yes. I shook my head. I don't understand. You don't need every detail. I deserve every detail. Victoria stayed silent. I laughed, but the sound felt broken. Did everyone know? No. Ryan knew. Of course. Anyone else? No. Why tell me now? Because Ryan doesn't want responsibility. I stared at Victoria. So you thought of me. I thought Lily Brooks deserved someone kind. You mean someone easy to use. That's unfair. Unfair. My voice rose. You cheated for years. I did. You lied every day. I did. And now you want me to raise your lover's child? Victoria didn't answer. The silence became the answer. I looked toward the window because I couldn't look at Victoria anymore. Cars moved through the streets. People laughed outside. The world continued as if nothing had happened. Inside me, Everything had collapsed. Victoria finally spoke. I'll make sure you're financially secure. I turned back slowly. You think this is about money? No. You really believe money fixes betrayal? It helps. It buys houses. Yes. It buys companies. Yes. It doesn't buy trust. Victoria looked away. I expected anger. You expected correctly. I also expected you to calm down. I don't think you understand what you've done. I understand enough. No, Victoria. I stood beside the table. You understand business. I picked up my jacket. You understand power. The waiter looked nervous. You don't understand love. Victoria spoke quietly. So what's your answer? I wanted to scream. I wanted to walk away forever. Instead, I swallowed every emotion because something felt wrong. The timing, the confession, the confidence. Too many pieces didn't fit together. If Victoria had hidden one secret for years, maybe more secrets existed. Maybe Ryan wasn't the only lie. Maybe money wasn't the only reason. I forced my face to stay calm. I sat down again. Victoria looked surprised. I'll do it, I said softly. You will? Yes. Relief crossed Victoria's face. I knew you would. I nodded once. Inside my mind, a different promise formed. I wouldn't become Lily Brooks' guardian because Victoria asked. I would stay long enough to uncover every secret Victoria believed would stay buried forever. That was the moment I stopped being a faithful husband and started searching for the truth. Sleep never came after the anniversary dinner. I lay awake beside Victoria, staring at the ceiling while every word replayed inside my head. Lily Brooks is my daughter too. The sentence refused to leave me alone. Victoria slept peacefully. I wanted to ask another 100 questions. Instead, I stayed silent. If Victoria had hidden one life for years, Victoria could hide much more. I finally climbed out of bed before sunrise. Victoria opened Victoria's eyes for a moment. You're awake early, Victoria said. I couldn't sleep. You'll feel better. I hope so. Victoria smiled as if nothing had happened. I have meetings all day. I figured. Don't wait for dinner. I won't. Victoria kissed my cheek. The kiss felt colder than ice. The front door closed. Only then did I let my mask fall. I whispered, what else are you hiding? I opened my laptop. The first name I searched was Ryan Bennett. Nothing unusual appeared. News articles praised Ryan Bennett. Business magazines called Ryan Bennett a visionary. Charity events showed Ryan Bennett smiling beside Victoria. Everything looked perfect. Perfect usually meant carefully planned. I searched deeper. Old interviews. Archived photographs. Corporate announcements. One picture caught my attention. Victoria and Ryan stood together at a charity gala 3 years earlier. Victoria's hand rested on Ryan's arm. The smile looked different. Too comfortable. Too familiar. I copied the picture into a folder named Truth. My phone buzzed. One name appeared. Grace Morgan. I hadn't spoken to Grace since college. Grace always noticed details everyone else ignored. I pressed the call button. Grace. A surprised laugh answered. Ethan, after all these years. I need help. Grace became serious immediately. What happened? I can't explain over the phone. Coffee. Today. I'll be there. An hour later, I entered a quiet cafe. Grace stood and hugged me. You look terrible. I feel worse. Grace waited patiently. I told Grace everything. Every lie. Every confession. Every broken promise. Grace remained silent until I finished. Finally, Grace said, Victoria planned that conversation. I think so. Nobody destroys a marriage without preparing for the consequences. I knew something felt wrong. Grace leaned forward. What do you want? The truth. The whole truth. I don't care how painful. Grace nodded slowly. I've investigated powerful people before. I remember. I'll help. Thank you. But you need rules. I'm listening. Don't confront Victoria again. I won't. Don't let Victoria know you're investigating. I understand. And save every piece of evidence. I will. Grace smiled. Good. What should I do first? Follow the money. Money. People lie. Grace stirred the coffee. Bank records rarely do. The words stayed with me all afternoon. I drove toward Hayes Global Headquarters. Instead of entering through the front entrance, I visited another building nearby. Daniel Foster worked there. Daniel had handled legal matters for Victoria's family for decades. Daniel trusted me. At least I hoped so. Daniel looked surprised. Ethan, good afternoon. What brings you here? I had questions. Daniel invited me inside. Everything okay? I'm trying to understand Victoria's business. Daniel laughed softly. Most people spend years trying. I only need simple answers. Daniel opened several folders. Victoria owns companies across technology, healthcare, and real estate. I know. Why the sudden interest? I want to help more. Daniel smiled. Victoria will appreciate that. I doubted those words. Daniel searched another cabinet. While Daniel looked away, one file slipped onto the floor. Papers scattered everywhere. I'll help, I said. Thank you. I picked up several documents. One page froze my hand. The title read, Lily Brooks Trust Agreement. My heartbeat quickened. Daniel reached for the paper. I'll take that. Who created this trust? Daniel hesitated. I shouldn't discuss private files. I already know about Lily. Daniel's expression changed instantly. So Victoria finally confessed. Yes. Daniel sighed. I wondered how long that secret would survive. What is this trust? Daniel rubbed the forehead. Lily inherited shares. From Victoria? Daniel stayed silent. Daniel, I've already said too much. Lily inherited what? Company ownership. I stared at Daniel. How much? I can't answer. Please. Daniel lowered the voice. If someone gained control of Lily's shares, that person could influence Hayes Global. My stomach twisted. Ryan. Daniel looked away. I never said Ryan. You didn't have to. Daniel carefully gathered the papers. Forget this conversation. I can't. You must. I won't. Daniel looked exhausted. Be careful, Ethan. Why? Some secrets become dangerous once discovered. I left the office carrying more questions than answers. Grace answered on the second ring. I found something. So did I. What happened? Lily owns part of the company. Grace became quiet. That changes everything. What did Grace find? Ryan met Victoria almost every Friday for 4 years. Business meetings? No. What then? Private apartments. My chest tightened. Grace continued. I also traced donations from Victoria's charity. What about them? The money disappeared. Disappeared? Millions of dollars. Where? I'm still following the trail. Keep going. I will. That evening, Victoria arrived home smiling. How was your day? Victoria asked. Quiet. Victoria placed a shopping bag on the table. I bought something for Lily. I forced myself to smile. That's thoughtful. Victoria looked pleased. I knew you'd come around. I've been thinking. About Lily? About family. Victoria reached across the table and squeezed my hand. I'm proud of you. I almost pulled away. Instead, I smiled again. I want everyone happy. Victoria relaxed immediately. The performance worked. Victoria believed complete control still existed. Victoria had no idea I spent the entire day pulling loose threads from a carefully woven lie. Later that night, my phone vibrated again. Grace sent one message. The fake charity connects directly to Ryan. That's not the worst part. Check tomorrow morning. I found another name, and I think this changes everything. I stared at the screen until dawn, knowing every answer only opened the door to an even darker secret. 3 days passed without another argument. Victoria acted as if nothing had changed. I acted even better. Every morning I smiled. Every evening I asked about work. Every lie I told bought me another day to uncover the truth. Victoria noticed the change. I knew you'd accept reality, Victoria said during breakfast. I've had time to think. And I don't want to waste my energy fighting. Victoria smiled. That's the Ethan I know. I lowered my eyes. Inside, I hated hearing my own voice. Victoria believed I had surrendered. That mistake would cost Victoria everything. Later that afternoon, Victoria invited me to Hayes Global. I want you to meet someone, Victoria said. I'll come. The executive floor looked exactly as I remembered. Glass walls. Expensive art. Perfect employees. Perfect lies. Ryan Bennett waited inside the conference room. Ryan stood and offered a hand. Ethan. I shook Ryan's hand. Ryan. Ryan smiled with fake kindness. It's good to see you. I wish I could say the same. Ryan laughed softly. Still trying to joke. I'm trying. Victoria interrupted. We're all adults. Ryan nodded. Exactly. The meeting lasted only 20 minutes. Victoria discussed investments. Ryan discussed expansion. Nobody mentioned Lily. Nobody mentioned the affair. When Victoria left the room to answer a phone call, Ryan leaned back. You handled everything better than I expected. I looked at Ryan without speaking. Ryan continued. I thought you'd disappear. I'm still here. I noticed. Ryan smiled again. You've always been a patient man. I've always believed people reveal themselves. Ryan shrugged. Sometimes life gets complicated. No. Ryan frowned. People make life complicated. Ryan chuckled. You're smarter than I gave you credit for. Victoria returned before I could answer. Ryan's confidence told me something important. Ryan truly believed I had already lost. That belief made Ryan careless. Exactly what I needed. That evening Grace called. I found someone. Who? Noah Collins. I don't know Noah. You should. What does Noah do? Forensic financial investigations. Can Noah help? If anyone can untangle Hayes Global, Noah can. When can we meet? Tonight. 2 hours later, I entered Grace's office. A tall man stood beside the window. Grace smiled. Ethan, this is Noah Collins. Noah offered a handshake. Grace filled me in. Thank you for meeting me. Noah nodded once. I've already started looking. So quickly. Your wife's companies leave fingerprints everywhere. I sat down. What did Noah find? Noah opened a laptop. Look here. Rows of numbers covered the screen. I don't understand. You don't have to. Noah pointed towards several transfers. Money moved from Hayes Global into charitable foundations. I know about the charity. It didn't stop there. Where did the money go? Shell companies. And after that, private accounts. Ryan's. Some. I stared at the screen. How much money? Enough to destroy careers. Can it be proven? Noah nodded. Every transaction leaves a trail. Grace folded both arms. Victoria isn't just hiding an affair. I figured. Grace continued. Victoria may be committing corporate fraud. I rubbed my face. This keeps getting worse. Noah looked directly at me. Are you ready for the truth? I have to be. Then don't hesitate when the time comes. I won't. Noah closed the laptop. One mistake could warn them. I understand. The next afternoon, Victoria surprised me. I want you to meet Lily. I froze. So soon. Lily has been asking questions. What kind? Ryan doesn't spend much time with Lily. I almost laughed. That sounded familiar. Victoria picked up the car keys. Come with me. 20 minutes later, we arrived at a quiet house. A little girl opened the front door before anyone knocked. Mom. Victoria hugged Lily. I missed you. Lily noticed me immediately. Who's that? Victoria smiled. This is Ethan. Lily waved happily. Hi. Hello, Lily. Lily grabbed my hand without hesitation. Come see my room. Victoria looked relieved. Go ahead. I followed Lily upstairs. The bedroom walls were covered with drawings. Lily picked up one picture. I made this. It's beautiful. I drew my family. Lily pointed toward each person. That's Mom. I nodded. That's me. I smiled. And that's the dad I wish I had. The words hit harder than I expected. Lily looked at me. Do you think that's silly? I swallowed. No. My teacher said every kid needs someone. I think your teacher wanted you to feel loved. Lily looked down. Ryan is always busy. I stayed silent. Mom says Ryan works hard. I'm sure Ryan does. But Ryan never comes to my school. My chest tightened. Lily held my hand again. You seem nice. Thank you. Will you visit again? I looked toward the hallway. Victoria couldn't hear us. I'll try. Lily smiled so brightly that guilt flooded my heart. Lily had done nothing wrong. Lily never asked to be born into lies. When we left the house, Victoria looked pleased. Lily likes you. Lily deserves kindness. I knew you'd understand. I looked out the window. I understand, Lily. Victoria misunderstood my answer completely. That night, I couldn't sleep again. I kept hearing Lily's small voice. Will you visit again? My phone rang after midnight. Grace sounded worried. Ethan, what happened? Noah found something else. Tell me. The stolen money purchased company shares through fake investors. So, those shares eventually strengthened Victoria's control. I sat upright. That's illegal. It gets worse. How? Noah traced several signatures. Whose? Daniel Foster approved legal paperwork. I closed my eyes. No. Either Daniel helped willingly, or someone forced Daniel. The room became silent. Grace finally asked, What are you thinking? I'm thinking about Lily. What about Lily? If I expose everything now, Lily loses everything too. Grace answered carefully. I know. I can't hurt Lily. You aren't hurting Lily. It feels that way. The people responsible made those choices. I remained quiet. Grace spoke again. What matters now? The truth. And justice. Then stop protecting people who never protected you. The words stayed with me after the call ended. I walked into my office. The folder named Truth sat on my desk. Photographs, financial reports, legal files, bank transfers. Every page revealed another betrayal. I realized something painful. Silence wasn't protecting innocent people anymore. Silence was protecting guilty people. I opened a new notebook. Across the first page, I wrote 4 simple words. No more hiding lies. I looked at the growing pile of evidence and finally accepted the decision I had avoided since the anniversary dinner. I would expose every secret, no matter who begged me to stop, no matter how powerful Victoria believed Victoria was, no matter how much it hurt me. Truth had already taken everything from me. Now truth would take everything from the people who created the lies. The invitation rested on my desk for almost a week. Hayes' global annual charity gala. Every powerful person in the city would attend. Investors, politicians, journalists, business leaders. Victoria believed the gala would strengthen Victoria's reputation. I planned to end it instead. Grace arrived first. Everything is verified, Grace said. Every document. Every single one. Noah entered behind Grace. The financial trail is complete. No missing pieces? No. I nodded. Good. Another knock came at the door. Daniel stepped inside. Daniel looked older than I remembered. I almost didn't come, Daniel admitted. I know. Daniel placed a thick folder on my desk. I should have spoken years ago. What changed? Daniel lowered the eyes. My silence protected the wrong people. I slowly opened the folder. Inside were signed contracts, hidden ownership agreements, private trust records, board resolutions. Everything carried official signatures. I looked at Daniel. This is enough. Daniel shook the head. Not yet. Daniel removed one sealed envelope. Open this tonight. What is it? The final truth. I slipped the envelope into my jacket. Thank you. Daniel sighed deeply. I'm ready to accept the consequences. You shouldn't carry this alone. I already have for too many years. Nobody spoke for several seconds. Finally, Grace smiled. Tomorrow changes everything. The next evening arrived faster than I expected. The ballroom sparkled with expensive lights. Music filled every corner. Champagne glasses clinked together. People laughed. Nobody knew the celebration stood on top of years of lies. Victoria greeted guests with perfect confidence. There you are, Victoria said after spotting me. I wouldn't miss tonight. Victoria adjusted the tie. You look nervous. I've been thinking. About Lily? About honesty. Victoria smiled without understanding. You worry too much. I used to. Ryan approached carrying 2 drinks. Ethan. Ryan. Ryan handed me a glass. Tonight is important. I agree. Ryan laughed. You've become surprisingly calm. I've learned patience. Ryan raised the glass. To new beginnings. I looked directly into Ryan's eyes. To endings. Ryan looked confused. Before Ryan could ask another question, the announcer walked onto the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Victoria Hayes. Applause filled the ballroom. Victoria smiled proudly while stepping toward the microphone. Thank you for joining our annual charity celebration. More applause followed. Victoria continued. Together we've changed thousands of lives. I quietly walked toward the front. Grace stood near several journalists. Noah waited beside the projection screen. Daniel remained close to the stage. Everything was ready. Victoria continued speaking. Generosity creates stronger communities. I raised my voice. Does honesty create stronger communities too? The ballroom became silent. Victoria looked at me. Ethan, I have something to share. Victoria forced a smile. We can talk later. No. I stepped onto the stage. We talk now. Whispers spread across the room. Victoria lowered the microphone. What are you doing? Finishing something. Ryan hurried forward. Ethan, don't embarrass yourself. I faced Ryan. I'm not the one who should feel embarrassed. Victoria reached for my arm. Please. I gently stepped away. No more private conversations. Grace nodded toward the technicians. The giant screen behind us came alive. A photograph appeared. Victoria and Ryan embraced outside a private apartment. Gasps echoed across the ballroom. Ryan immediately shouted, "That's fake." Grace answered loudly, "The image has been verified by independent experts." Another picture appeared. Then another. Private vacations. Secret dinners. Hidden meetings. Victoria's face turned pale. Ryan looked at the crowd. None of this proves anything. I opened the first folder. It proves the affair lasted years. I removed printed messages. I also have conversations. Grace handed copies to several journalists. Reporters quickly read every page. One reporter whispered, "These messages are real." Ryan pointed at me. "You stole private information." I uncovered the truth. Victoria finally spoke. "Enough." "No." I held up another document. "This is Lily's birth certificate." The room became completely silent. Victoria closed the eyes. I continued. "This DNA report confirms Ryan Bennett is Lily's biological father." Ryan shouted. "I never agreed to any test." Daniel stepped forward. "The court approved the verification during trust registration." Ryan stared at Daniel. "You betrayed us." Daniel answered calmly. "I chose honesty." Victoria's shoulders dropped. I placed another stack of papers onto the podium. "These are financial records." Noah connected another file to the screen. Charts appeared. Transfers. Shell companies. Hidden accounts. Millions of dollars moved through fake charities. Noah spoke clearly. "Every transaction has been independently verified." Several investors looked shocked. One investor asked, "Victoria, is this true?" Victoria remained silent. Another investor stepped backward. "I want my company removed from every partnership." Another voice followed. "So do we." A politician quietly left the ballroom. More guests followed. Ryan grabbed the microphone. Everyone listened. Nobody interrupted. Ryan forced a smile. "This is nothing more than a bitter husband seeking revenge." I opened Daniel's sealed envelope. Inside rested one final contract. Daniel quietly nodded. I unfolded the pages. This agreement transferred stolen company shares into secret holding companies controlled by Ryan Bennett. Ryan's face lost all color. I continued reading. "The signatures belong to Ryan Bennett and Victoria Hayes." Daniel spoke firmly. "I witnessed those signatures." Grace handed the copies to reporters. Cameras flashed across the ballroom. Ryan stumbled backward. "I can explain." One reporter answered, "We're listening." Ryan looked toward Victoria. Victoria looked away. For the first time, Ryan stood completely alone. Victoria slowly approached me. "Ethan." I remained silent. Victoria whispered, "Please stop." I begged for honesty. "I made mistakes." "You built a life from those mistakes." Tears filled Victoria's eyes. "I loved you." I shook my head. Love doesn't ask someone to raise another man's child while hiding fraud. Victoria couldn't answer. Another board member walked toward the stage. "Our emergency meeting begins tonight." Another executive added, "Victoria, your authority is suspended until this investigation ends." Victoria stared in disbelief. "You can't do this." The chairman answered quietly, "We have no choice." Security officers entered the ballroom. Nobody applauded. Nobody celebrated. Guests simply walked away. Some avoided looking at Victoria. Others ignored Ryan completely. The ballroom that had been filled with laughter only minutes earlier became painfully quiet. Grace stepped beside me. "It's over." I slowly looked around the room. Flowers still decorated every table. Music had stopped. Champagne remained untouched. The masks had finally fallen. Victoria stood alone near the stage. Ryan stood alone near the exit. Neither spoke another word. I realized I didn't feel victorious. I felt free. For years I believed silence protected love. Tonight, I finally understood the truth. Silence had only protected lies. And once the truth entered the room, every lie collapsed under its own weight, leaving nothing behind except regret, broken pride, and consequences that no amount of money could ever erase. 6 months changed everything. Hayes Global stood under criminal investigation. News channels discussed financial fraud every day. Ryan Bennett disappeared from public life without a single interview. Victoria lost investors, board control, and almost every friend who once filled expensive parties with empty praise. Meanwhile, I finally slept through the night. The peace felt strange at first. Pain had been part of my life for so long that silence almost sounded unfamiliar. One quiet morning my phone rang. Emma's name appeared. "My favorite son," Emma said warmly. "I'm your only son." Emma laughed. "That makes choosing easy." I smiled. I needed that laugh. I could hear the weight leaving your voice. "I'm trying." "No." Emma paused. "You're healing." "I hope you're right." "I know I'm right." Emma invited me for dinner. When I arrived, the smell of homemade food greeted me before the front door opened. Emma hugged me tightly. "You've lost weight." "I've been busy." "You've been carrying too much." "I carried it for years." Emma touched my shoulder. "You don't have to anymore." We sat together at the kitchen table. Emma poured coffee into 2 mugs. I watched the news again, Emma said. I know. People finally know the truth. They do. Emma looked into my eyes. Do you regret exposing everything? I thought carefully before answering. I regret trusting the wrong people. And the rest? No. Emma nodded. Truth hurts. It does. But lies destroy lives. They almost destroyed yours. I won't let that happen again. Emma smiled proudly. That's my son. A few days later, Grace called. The prosecutors want another statement. I expected that. You've done enough. I'll finish what I started. Grace hesitated. There's something else. What is it? Victoria asked about you. I stayed quiet. What did Victoria say? Victoria wants one conversation. I don't know. You don't have to decide now. I'll think about it. Grace respected the silence. Whatever you choose, make sure the decision helps you, not Victoria. I will. After ending the call, I drove toward the small park where Lily often spent weekends with a caregiver. Lily noticed me immediately. Ethan. I smiled. Hi, Lily. Lily ran toward me. You came back. I promised I'd try. You remembered. I did. Lily held my hand. Can we feed the ducks? Of course. We bought a small bag of bird food. Lily laughed every time the ducks rushed closer. I named that one Charlie, Lily said. The biggest duck? Charlie thinks Charlie owns the lake. I laughed. I believe it. Lily became quiet. Mom cries a lot now. I looked at the water. I'm sorry. Did I do something wrong? I stopped walking. No. Then why is everyone sad? I knelt beside Lily. Sometimes adults make bad choices. Can adults fix mistakes? Sometimes. And sometimes people have to live with the consequences. Lily looked thoughtful. I still love Mom. You should. And I like you too. My throat tightened. I like you too, Lily. Lily smiled again. That innocent smile reminded me why I had waited before exposing the truth. Lily never deserved punishment for someone else's choices. When we finished feeding the ducks, Lily hugged me. Will you visit again? I will. Promise. I promise. As I walked back to my car, Grace called once more. Victoria is waiting. Where? The old apartment. The first apartment? Yes. I closed my eyes. So many memories started there. And one conversation might finally end them. That evening I unlocked the old apartment door. Almost nothing had changed. The tiny kitchen remained. The old window still overlooked the busy street. Victoria stood beside the same window where we once dreamed about our future. Victoria looked smaller somehow. Not physically. Emotionally. Thank you for coming, Victoria said quietly. I almost didn't. I know. Neither of us spoke for several seconds. Finally, Victoria broke the silence. I lost everything. I answered honestly. Not everything. Victoria looked confused. I still have my life. You do. I just don't know what to do with it. I remained silent. Victoria slowly sat down. I've had months to think. So have I. Victoria looked at the floor. I blamed everyone except myself. And now I understand. What? My pride destroyed everything. I listened without interrupting. I thought money solved problems. Victoria wiped away tears. I thought success mattered more than honesty. Another tear fell. I thought you would never leave. I almost never did. Victoria looked at me. I was selfish. Yes. I was cruel. Yes. I betrayed the only person who truly loved me. I didn't answer. Victoria took a deep breath. I'm sorry. The apology sounded real. Not polished. Not rehearsed. Just broken. Victoria whispered. Can you forgive me? I looked around the apartment. Every corner held memories. Some beautiful. Some painful. I finally spoke. I don't hate you. Victoria looked hopeful. But forgiveness doesn't mean returning. The hope faded. I understand. I spent years trying to become enough for you. You always were. I wish you had believed that before. Victoria covered the face with both hands. I know. I hope you become a better person. I'm trying. I believe you. Victoria slowly looked up. Then why can't we start again? I smiled sadly. Because healing doesn't mean walking backward. Victoria closed the eyes. I deserved that answer. You deserved honesty. And you finally gave it to me. I stood. Victoria didn't try to stop me. At the door, Victoria spoke one last time. I really did love you. I looked back. I believe part of you did. And the rest? The rest loved power more. I quietly closed the door behind me. The cold evening air felt lighter than it had in years. For the first time, I wasn't running from my past. I was walking toward my future. Weeks became months. The investigations continued. Several executives accepted plea agreements. Ryan remained invisible. Daniel cooperated with prosecutors and helped recover stolen company assets. Grace received an award for outstanding investigative journalism. Noah accepted a position with a federal financial crimes task force. Emma kept reminding me to enjoy ordinary days. Slowly, I learned how. I returned to software development. Building programs felt strangely similar to rebuilding my life. Both required patience. Both required honesty. Both required starting over when something was broken. One sunny afternoon, Lily mailed me a drawing. The picture showed a lake, 2 ducks, a little girl, and one man smiling beside the water. At the bottom, Lily had written 5 simple words. Thank you for being kind. I placed the drawing inside a frame instead of a drawer. Not because I wanted to remember betrayal, because I wanted to remember compassion. Bitterness would have been easy. Revenge would have been easy. Hatred would have been easy. Choosing peace demanded much more courage. As I walked through Central Park one quiet evening, the wind carried away the last weight I had been holding. I realized wealth had never made Victoria powerful. Fear had. The moment I stopped fearing loss, nobody controlled me anymore. I had lost a marriage. I had lost years of my life. I had lost the future I once imagined. Yet somehow I had gained something far greater. My dignity. My self-respect. My freedom. The city lights stretched across the horizon as I continued walking without looking back. Money could build towers. Money could buy influence. Money could purchase applause. But money could never replace truth. Money could never restore trust. Money could never silence a clear conscience. My story had begun with betrayal. My story ended with peace. And I finally understood the greatest victory was never exposing the people who betrayed me. The greatest victory was refusing to let betrayal change the person I chose to become.